Hello, YouTube. Hey, Andikin, welcome to the stream, man. How's your Saturday going? Hey, Flynn, welcome to the stream. Flynn, I'm looking forward to getting a chance to meet you at Chicago. You are going, right? Hey, Kevin, welcome to the stream. How's everybody's Saturday going? I couldn't spot Corey or Jim doing their normal 3 o'clock stream. Yep, Flynn, I'll be the one with the long hair and the stupid grin on his face. Hey, Nisi, welcome to the stream. Oh, I'm all right. My wife's all bubbling today. She managed to get 2 of Lucas Brett's Aru 2 Pseudo McGill's. He didn't have many left, but he saved her some, and they came in today, and they're in the quarantine tank, which is obviously now gone far beyond a quarantine tank. Sasquatch Aquatics, welcome to the stream. Chris's Fish Room, welcome to the stream. The co-op guys are in Michigan. Ah, okay. I guess I'm the only game in town then. You're stuck with me, guys. They'll probably do a live stream at some point. But I'm glad to see you in here, Nisi. I know this is your Nisi time, and I'm glad you dropped in to say hello. Once again, I have really no axe to grind today. I put in the little blurb about doing a random tip. And what I thought I would do, one of the books that I have bought recently, and you guys should know by now. Hey Joel, welcome to the stream. Hey Chris Fish Room, welcome to the stream. You guys should know by now that I'm very fond of books, and that I believe that books offer a really good way for fish keepers to... Kevin Hyatt says he got 73 to 4 day old Corydoras and about 20 to 30 super red pleco eggs. Grats, man. I'm jealous. Corys are something that I haven't kept a lot of. I used to keep them back in the 70s, but they were pretty basic species that we had. Nisi says, lol, Dwayne, I'm in the car waiting for my daughter to come down the mountain. She's helping clear the skiing paths. Sounds like you guys got some snow, Nisi. Okay, so I'm just reiterating the fact that I'm a big fan of books, and that I feel like that they are an excellent delivery method for fish keepers to learn from. And the reason why is you may access a web page that has some really valuable information on it, and it will give you some teaching moments when you first read it. Hey Biggies, welcome to the stream. But a book is something that is continuously there, that in your downtime, if the power goes out and you can't access online stuff, or you forget to pay your internet bill, or a tree falls and knocks your internet out or something like that, you can no longer access that internet stuff. But a book will give you a chance at any time you have a spare moment to open it up and read again. And the reason why I think that's valuable is because sometimes when we first read something, even if we're reading for comprehension, Um, Sometimes it doesn't really have a chance to sink in because we have never needed the parts to sink in before, and then our experience as fish keepers grow and we run into more issues and situations, and suddenly if you reread that bit of information, it will give you a whole new perspective, and you will learn a great deal more from it than you got the first time that you read through something. And repetition always helps people remember what they're reading or what they've read. If you read something over and over again, eventually it will stick, even if you've got a thick skull like mine. And so the book that I am going to offer tips from and offer you to be acquainted with, and if you catch it someplace, pick it up, is it's a Firefly book. It was published in 2005, so it's a lot more up to date than a lot of the stuff that I normally have, which is mostly from the 70s and 60s and 80s. The book is called 500 Ways to Be a Better Freshwater Fish Keeper. So it's obviously targeted at most of us that keep freshwater fish. And I think it's a very valuable book for us to read at our leisure and try to pick up some tips from it, and then go back to it again, re-dip into the book, and maybe the tips that you didn't really notice before will suddenly become way more interesting to you because it is suddenly now apparent to you why you need that tip or how that tip will help you. And while this is not cricket, probably, I'm touting the book as something that I think is worthy to other fish keepers. So I'm just going to pick one at random, completely randomly. Okay. And it's laid out like this so that you can see what the pages look like. I have to wait for the delay to come up so I can see if you can actually see that. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's sectioned off. G-Bear's asking me where my bug bites video is. I sat and thought, how am I going to make a really funny video? And the more I thought about it, the less likely I thought it was that I was going to make a funny video. And so I decided, not to rush. I'm not sure if I'll make the deadline or not. Okay, so out of these 500 ways to be a better freshwater fish keeper, I'm going to read 125. And this is obviously in the Better Aquarium Plants section. And the tip is, bear in mind that no matter how much light and how many minerals are present, a change in conditions from the wild tropics to the aquarium is just too much for some plant species. The only way they can adapt to the new conditions is to shed leaves and regrow from the tips or rootstock. Water wisteria, Eustoralis, and some cryptocorns often do this. Some take many weeks to regenerate. So unless a plant is obviously soft and rotten, be patient and give it a chance. So there's tip 125, utterly at random, from the Better Aquarium Plants section of the book. And this book has tons of sections in it that will offer you all kinds of tips. Now, I just picked that one at random just so that you could see what they are. But I think I'm going to try to do this regularly because, to be honest with you, sometimes I don't even think about this live stream until the last minute, and I haven't really done my homework and studied up on a topic. And sometimes I like to do these streams without an axe to grind, where people can ask questions and I can interact with you guys and respond. Hey, Dank Tanks, welcome to the stream, man. You just missed my random tip from 500 Ways to Be a Better Freshwater Fish Keeper. And that is by Mary Bailey, Sean Evans, Nick Fletcher, Andy Green, Peter Hiscock, Pat Lambert, and Anna Robertson. Those are obviously the people that have offered the tips. And it is said on the back, the perfect go-to guide when information and guidance is needed to solve a crucial problem quickly. This comprehensive reference is full of practical advice from seasoned experts. Topics include choosing and locating an aquarium, heating and lighting systems, filtration and other water management techniques, aquarium plants and how to use them effectively, aquascaping to create stunning underwater displays, buying fish and transporting them home, feeding, key fish keeping skills, the inside story on a wide range of tropical fish, compatibility and introducing new fish to the aquarium, breeding, routine maintenance, and basic health care. So the book actually offers you a great range of topics, and they obviously have a cadre of fish keeping experts that are offering the book, for offering tips to the book from their own experience and from things they've learned. So that's the kind of book that I would recommend to you guys as a generalized book to keep, so that if something comes up, you can quickly go back to the guide and see what they say. Of course, the book's only so many pages, so they can't cover everything, but in general, they try to cover the basics so that you could probably glean some really good information. And Big E says it's hard to teach old new, and I think he means an old dog new tricks. I'm definitely an old dog, but I definitely try my best to open my brain up to the possibility of new tricks being something worthy of consideration. Basically, my take on that is, when you quit learning, you're dead already, no matter how old you are. So, Andy Lees, welcome to the stream, says just looked and can get a good condition used book for £2.80 on Amazon. Bargain, yeah. Well, Big E says because the old things work better. There's no doubt that simplicity is always a good thing to work with, and that back in the day, people had to be pretty darn self-sufficient and innovative to come up with things that they couldn't buy somewhere, that they felt like they needed to make their fish tanks function properly. You know, they may have seen something similar someplace else and wanted to. G Bear says KISS is the way to keep a tank, and it's KISS is a keep it simple, stupid, and that's always a very good methodology to follow. Yeah, Dank, I agree. KISS is a good motto for life in general. But that doesn't mean that there aren't newfangled, fancy things that can help. And don't let yourself be stuck in the knowledge that you already have and unwilling to expand your knowledge base. This hobby it's not rocket science, but it is science. It's not the most complicated thing in the world, but it is a very complicated thing. And the honest truth is that no one out there knows it all. This hobby is so deep and so wide that there is no one out there, no matter how excellent they are. If I'm sure some of you have watched Eric Bodrock's live talks that Corey's done on Aquarium Co-op. Eric Bodrock is someone that we should all look up to as an expert in this hobby. And yet, I'm sure you could stump Eric Bodrock in a little corner, unknown corner of the hobby. There are things that Eric Bodrock doesn't know either. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to keep your mind open to the possibility that someone else has worked just as hard or harder at keeping fish and may have a little bit of a different take on it, and that you should keep your mind open to be willing to recognize when someone else has an idea or a new thing that you think would be effective in your fish room. Because this isn't about what we know. This isn't about who's best. This isn't about who's the top dog. This hobby breaks down to, are your fish thriving? If your fish aren't thriving, it doesn't matter who's the best. Who was it? Mark Weiss Products, that was all BS in the early 90s. Yeah, some of his products were kind of BS-like. And you need to take a grain of salt with everything that you look at and see. It may not be all it's cracked up to be. It may be bad. It may be poor design and great marketing. But don't be afraid to give stuff a try and see if it might work for you. And my experience is, even if you buy something that's a piece of garbage and that you can't use it the way it was intended, if you've got a little innovative streak in you and a little do-it-yourself streak in you, keep that piece of junk around, because eventually you're going to need something, and that piece of junk is going to catch your eye, and you're going to figure out how to make something that really will work and really is needed out of that piece of junk. So even buying stuff that's a piece of junk can be helpful sometime. Cobwebs Cavern, welcome to the stream. No, my wife is out right now. She's having to help her son, and she won't be around today. We are having fits trying to get her a microphone so that she can record the voiceover to her fish eye lights video. Not video, she's doing a PowerPoint. And we need to record her voiceover for it, and we are having a devil of a time getting that done. So I apologize to you guys. Her machine runs Ubuntu, and we just are having a heck of a time getting it to function properly. Hopefully, we will have that resolved this weekend. Justin's coming back over, and he's going to give it a look-see and see if he can. He's an IT guy, so he has a better understanding of Ubuntu than I do. Glass boxes, Joel says it's all about who has the most tanks. Yeah, the old saying that he who dies with the most toys wins. There's some real fallacies with that statement. It sounds real good on the surface, but there's some real fallacies with that. And Kevin Hyatt says, I've watched all of the Eric Bodrock videos 3 times each. I get a lot of fish from him, so it's nice to see him teach as well. Yeah, that guy is something special. There are several people out there that are dealing fish onto the market that are really highlights of the people in the fish hobby. Jeff Rapps is one of them. Tangled Up in Cichlids is his website if you've never seen it. I highly recommend it. Jeff's fish are a little bit pricey, but you're going to get the best fish possible from him. I highly recommend Jeff. He's well known in the hobby. I don't think he does speaking engagements very much, or at least I've never caught him anywhere. He may do more, and I've just never really caught him. Eric Bodrock is definitely one to check out his stock list and to listen intently to every word he has to say. That guy's been living and breathing fish keeping for many, many years. Greg Sage at Select Aquatics is another one. Listen to every word he says. Hear him now and believe him later. And go look up Select Aquatics. I got the levamisol that I used to treat my wife's rainbow tank from there. Greg is a good one. Gary Lang. You know, a lot of these people are the people that Corey is going around and recording and checking out their fish rooms. They're important people. Cobwebs Cavern says that's a USB microphone that will definitely work. I'm guessing that he means there is, because I didn't see him list one. Yeah, that's what's going on with it. Cobwebs Cavern is that we can't get the Ubuntu to recognize the microphone. So I'm going to get Justin over here. He's really good with Ubuntu, so he may be able to figure it out. G Bear says, I have an Eheim 2260 filter on my 120 gallon. I forgot how long ago I bought it. It says made in West Germany. Yeah, Eheim is from Germany. And yes, they're excellent. Their equipment is excellent. A lot of really good fish keepers that we should all pay attention to use Eheim products. They're a little bit expensive, and sometimes what they offer is not exactly what you need, but they are excellent pieces of equipment. They are German manufactured and well made. Cobwebs Cavern also talking to Joel says, I have caught multiple tank syndrome, up to 6 biggish ones and 6 breeders now. Well, Gratz. Cobwebs Caverns, if you put a link in, it didn't pop up because you don't have a mod wrench, and that's the only way you can and put a link in the chat. I made so many of the people that first started watching me mods that I'm going to wait it out a little bit before I add another wave of mods. Give me a chance to get to know you, and you know, I don't have any intention of being stingy about the mod wrenches. I'd be very happy to have a spammer drop in and be met with a mod wall. Let's see, we got her. MPAL. It's an MPAL microphone headset. And it said on their site that it worked with Linux, but we haven't been able to get it to function. I think she's running Ubuntu 14 point something or other, one of the latest iteration. Kevin says, I got the wrench. I'm super cool. I'm going to start laying this wrench down once Dwain gets super popular. Well, I may be a bit of an acquired taste, Kevin. I come off as kind of lectury, and I may not be everybody's cup of tea, and it may take me a while to get super popular, if ever. But I'm okay with that. I much prefer the smaller, more intimate grouping that I usually end up with, because I've watched Corey's streams, and if any of you have watched any of Joey's stream, Joey's chat runs by so fast that you cannot even get a word in edgewise. Joel's telling me that I'm a fish keeper's fish keeper. Don't kid yourself. I'm not that well versed in fish keeping. I've been around a long time. I've been in the hobby a long time. I've kept a lot of fish, but I'm not an expert. I'm just someone that has learned enough to know what it's like to be a fish keeper and have problems and not know where to turn. So I try to help as much as I possibly can by either my own experience or by stuff I've read and learned or seen other people say. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to pass on information, offer a sense of community, give people a chance to talk back and forth with each other, get to know each other, check out each other's web YouTube pages, and learn. I mean, the most important part, racing's aquariums, and if you haven't followed racing's aquariums, I definitely recommend it. Just did a shout out where he talked about the human side of fish keeping, our own flaws, our own failings, our own foibles, that sometimes we are afraid to show those kinds of things. And in this community, in the fish fam and in the fish keeping family in general, I think that you will find that people are more than willing to go out of their way to help. I mean, you're going to run across bad apples. You're going to have political conflicts. You're going to have personality conflicts. But for the most part, and in general, the people that you are going to meet in the fish keeping hobby have gone through or are going through exactly what you've gone through and what you're going through. And so they are more than willing to say, hey, been there, done that, this is what saved my bacon, and tell you how they managed to pull their way out of the fire. I see Sergeant Tanks in the house. I need to get one of those romper room mirror things where I don't know, romper room is probably way older than most of you guys, but it used to be a television show for kids back in the 50s when I was a kid. And she would look through a mirror that didn't have any mirror glass in it and see who was around and who was having birthdays. And I need to get a romper room mirror so I could talk about everybody that's in the stream. And Sergeant Tank says, "You're my cup of tea." Right back at you, Jeremy. I feel you, bud. I understand. You seem to understand as well. Listen, people, we're all human. We all have problems. We all have situations that we go through. The least we can do is be open to helping other people that are having problems, that we can offer solutions to, that we can offer a warm smile and a firm handshake to, that we can offer advice, we can offer life experience. The humanity part of fish keeping is the best part of fish keeping. It's great to have wonderful fish. It's great to raise fish, spawn fish, but the real treasure in fish keeping as a hobby is the other people that are in the hobby. So open your eyes, folks. You are not alone. You are not the only one in the world that's having this fish keeping issue. Get out there. Get to know other fish keepers. Try to communicate your issues. Try to communicate what it is that you have to offer, and try to be there for people that need help. And that's why I'm here. That's the only reason that I'm here. I'm not interested in fame or fortune or any of those kind of things. They really don't attract me in the sense, I mean, everybody's got an ego, but that's not what I'm about. I'm not trying to be here to be some great hoo-ha or some great, I'm never going to be that. If that's what you're looking for, I'm sorry, I failed you. But I'm going to try to help as much as I can. I'm going to try to harp on things that I think are important, that other people recognize and learn. I see we got Lumpy Dog in the house. Lumpy Dog says sponge filters and periodic use of a diatom filter. I still haven't seen anything work better than this combo. Geez, Lumpy Dog, you're a braver man than I am if you regularly use a diatom filter. I bought one of those things back in like 72 or 73, and the first 3 times that I tried to wrap that paper filter around that inner core and then dump those diatom skeletons powder into that thing and get it to coat evenly, it didn't matter how I did it. There was always one corner that popped open and all of the diatoms got sucked through and into my tank. It just never seemed to matter how I tried to do it. So, game on, buddy. If you can do that regularly with no problems, you're a better man than I am. KG Cichlids, and welcome to the stream, says, "We are all treasures of the fish community," and that's exactly what I mean. Cobwebs Cavern says, "Any suggestions for a tank mate for some Neolamprologus multifasciatus? Looking to start breeding some shellies." I saw Rachel O'Leary has a video out where she's got some tank mates for her shellies but I'm not sure if that's because she felt like the Shelleys needed tank mates, or if it was a situation where she needed a tank to put something in and they just ended up going in there. Basically, my experience with Shelleys, and I have kept them a long time ago, was that they overbred whatever tank they were in so badly that you pretty much need to have them in a tank by themselves so that there is room for all their progeny. Once they get cranking, they will turn out some fries. Just get ready to have to dump a lot of them on your fellow hobbyists. Joel Glass Boxes says, kiss a fish. Cobwebs Cavern says, snog a salmon or French a fireball. I'm gonna pass on both of those. I've never been a much of a dog kisser or cat kisser, or it's never occurred to me to kiss a fish, so I'm going to pass on all that. KG Cichlid says, I wonder if hatchets and Shelleys would go good together. Well, I'm sure they would, in the sense that the hatchets are topwater fish and basically never go much below the surface of the water. But my thinking would be that hatchets need a softer, less hard water than Shelleys do. And that might become an issue for the hatchet fish over a long period of time if they're kept in that hard of water. But I several people on YouTube are always for that could work, and I'm sure that if you got the right combination that you could make that work. But I don't know. It makes me hesitate when I look at it. Glass Boxes says, oh man, I can't handle it when people let their dogs lick their faces. Well, I mean, dogs, that's how dogs communicate. Their paws or their tongues. So I'm not saying that I've never had a dog lick my face before, but when I'm talking to my dog like that and trying to really get him to understand that I'm really trying my best to communicate with him, I put my head right where his eyes are, so that my face is above his tongue, so he can't really lick my face. I love my dogs, and I've always loved dogs, but I know where their tongues have been. Although science will tell you that dogs' tongues are one of the cleanest things on earth, because they have evolved very good methods of being able to kill pathogens, so that they can drink really dirty water and eat food that most people wouldn't survive, or most things wouldn't survive eating. So yeah, that's my take on dogs licking your face. Cobwebs Cavern says, KG, that's what I was thinking, something very top dwelling. Yeah, I mean, you could probably get away with some kind of pleco, or maybe some cories. I don't think I would go with shrimp, because shrimp would probably get... Shelleys are really territorial, or they can be. Some of the species are, I know. And they don't like stuff that encroaches on their territory. So anything that's small enough for a Shelley to bully, and that might be up to like 3 inches, they're going to run them out if they keep trying to get where their territory is. So even a Cory might be a rough thing to put in there because of the fact that it's going to keep swimming all around the tank, and the Shelleys are probably going to run it off at some point. I think of there's a lot of fish that you're really better off sometimes keeping by themselves, like a chaka catfish, or, sometimes even some apistos do a lot better if they're in a tank by themselves. And I think Shelleys kind of fall into that category of fish that species-only tanks are probably the best way to go. I mean, I'm sure you could put some kind of huge cichlid in there, but I'm not sure if the Shelleys would survive that. I can't remember exactly what Rachel had in hers, but they were small, about the same size as the Shelleys, and she had a big pile of rocks on one end of the tank, and they were staying in the rocks, basically. I don't know, if you can get angelfish to adjust to the same water, you could probably put angels in there, because angels pretty much are mid-water fish. They don't spend a lot of their time on the bottom. Yeah. I hope everybody's weekend is going well and that their fish are all fine. Yeah, cobwebs. Look it up. I'm sure you'll find it. Kevin Hyatt says, so I think they myth busted the clean mouth dog thing. I think they said they actually have dirty mouths, and that since we have evolved next to dogs for so long that we are immune to their disease. Well, that's probably true. One of my favorite things to look at is anthropology and history. So I've spent a great deal of time studying when dogs were actually domesticated. And time and time again, they revisit it with some new find and realize that dogs have been domesticated for a lot longer than they thought before, and that human beings really have a good connection with dogs, and that they have found them useful for millennium. So I'm not sure where it's actually going to end up, but every time some new information comes out, it usually moves it back further and further. I think they're at about 35 to 40,000 years ago, they think now. But I'm guessing that the next time they talk about it, it'll be 50 and then 60. And so dogs and humans have been cohabitating for a long time. Kevin says, so technically dogs only have a clean mouth if you're a human. Well, that may be true. But they are able to eat and drink things. Their survival mechanism is such that they're able to eat and drink things that would normally make others sick. Other animals or human beings. They have a way to break that stuff down so that it doesn't damage them that much. And I think antiseptic mouth was the way they always thought that was occurring. But science marches on, and most theories don't stand the test of time. They get winnowed down a little bit. I think the thing about the dogs domestication, the thing about it that struck me as most interesting was that they don't think that it was directly wolves. I always thought they just started domesticating straight wolves. I think there were several wolf-like species around at the time when they started domesticating dogs, and that a lot of them were not just straight wolves. Wolves are a really interesting species. No matter how long or how close human beings get to wolves, you can look in their eyes and you can see the wild, no matter how domesticated they are. Cobweb's Cavern says it seems after a quick Google is that we have roughly about the same level of bacteria in our mouths as dogs. Well, Google is a wonderful thing. All right, guys, nobody seems to be asking any questions, and I've run out of chatter topics pretty much. I'm probably going to wrap this up. Kevin Hyatt wants to know if anyone has ever bred bristlenose plecos. I haven't. I'm trying to think if I have ever bred a pleco. I've kept a lot of plecos. I had zebra plecos when they were an undescribed species and had just come out. I was living down in Texas, in the Dallas area when they came out, and I traded in a bunch of Jack Dempsey's, 3/4 inch Jack Dempsey's babies, and took two bristlenose, two zebra plecos home with me and promptly killed them. I bet they didn't last 3 months. I was just crushed. I think they were $25 a piece back then, which that was quite a while ago. So $25 was probably, with inflation, about what $50 is now. But I just didn't have the skills. I didn't understand the species. I didn't recognize their needs, and I just didn't have the skills. I really think that bristlenose are probably the easiest species of plecos to breed. They seem to really want to breed for you. It's highly ingrained in their DNA. Kevin says, I'm waiting for mine to hatch and don't really know what to feed after they eat the yolk. I'm thinking just a piece of driftwood to munch on. Well, Kevin, I would recommend that you throw some lettuce in a jar and stick it in a window with some tank water in it. Piece of lettuce. And within about 3 or 4 days, you should start noticing some green water forming. And I would take an eyedropper or a turkey baster and pull a little bit of that green water out and put it in the tank that the babies are in. If you're going to use driftwood to give them some off which to eat, it needs to be in there for a long time. It needs to be seasoned, I guess is what I mean. If you just take a piece of driftwood that you buy from the pet store and bring it home and drop it in the tank, they're really not going to get much good off of that for maybe a month. A good carpet of algae. Kevin says he has 2 L46 zebras and that he has green water in a tank in the garage. Well, I'm not saying green water in the sense that they will eat green water like tetras do, but the stuff in the green water The infusoria in the green water will settle on rocks and the tank bottom and plants and driftwood that you've got in the tank, and that they will eat it off of that when they're really small. And I think a lot of people, the consensus in the breeding world now is that most fish, most fry, most babies, the closer the food is to them, the better it is. That in the wild, fry very seldom will go very widely from the area that they're in order to seek food. G Bear says, did you see Corey's video where Eric Modrock said people overseas do not want to deal with Americans? It probably has to do with a lot of New Jersey and New York wholesalers going bankrupt. I'm not sure if it's, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, that adds to it. But Americans are pretty arrogant. If you go to other countries, you will notice that people are usually pretty reserved. They don't... Americans are far more likely to say whatever they're thinking than other countries are. Not that people in other countries don't say what they're thinking, but I think they see us as half-assed fish keepers that will get a bunch of fish in and kill them and then be all like, oh wow, I need to get some more of these, you know, and not really do our homework, not really put the effort in to keep our fish thriving or to get rare fish in and figure out how to make them breed. And that's a generalization on my part. It's not that there aren't people in America that are doing great work in the fish hobby, because there are, but that in general the common fish keepers are less concerned with their fish's well-being than they are with how their fish tank looks when they show it off to their friends or their girlfriend or whoever it is that they're showing it off to. We as Americans tend to be pretty shallow and arrogant at the same time, and that's not a mix that flies very well in Europe, I think. You know, we need to get back to doing the work that's involved and actually becoming the kind of fish keepers that Europeans recognize as worthy of them giving us some credit, you know. Yeah, Cobwebs. Cobwebs says that Americans are loud and brash at times. And we're pretty nationalistic in the sense of the whole USA, we're number one, puts some people off. And I would have to agree with that completely. I don't, you know, nobody has a monopoly on perfection. We're all human. But I think that sometimes Americans can be kind of shallow. So that may affect how Europeans look at us more than money, potentially. All right, guys, we're coming up on the hour, and I've got some stuff I need to get on doing. I've got to give a shout out to Lucas Bretts, LR Bretts. Made a special effort to get my wife a pair of Aru 2 Pseudomogills, gills, and she's thrilled to death with them. They're in a tank and doing well. Excuse me. All right, guys, have a good weekend. I hope your fish are doing well. That's all, folks.